Welcome to Gutsy Coach Week and Get Gutsy episode number 98 with Tara Marulli on There Is Something More Here. Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey everybody, Jenny Fennig here. Welcome back to Get Gutsy and Gutsy Coach Week. Oh my gosh, we are having such a good time here. I am so glad we did this. We've never hosted Gutsy Coach Week before. I have other interesting things going on within the podcast realm. But I had a download a few months back, and it was just Gutsy Coach Week. Like, do this thing, shine a light on rising stars in the coaching world. Those, amazing coaches I've had a chance to teach and train and work with and coach. And it's just really a dream come true. So I hope you're having as much fun as I am. And hold on to your hats because you are going to hear from just a wonderful woman today with a very, very powerful message. So let me introduce her, and then we are going to dive right in. Her name is Tara Marulli. As the spiritual self-love coach, Tara intuitively guides women towards getting to the root of their blocks, breaking those blocks down, and then building them back up. Part of Tara's mission involved teaming up with the body image movement and becoming a body image movement global ambassador, and helping motivate and encourage women locally and globally to embrace and love their bodies at any size. Tara, welcome to Get Gutsy and Gutsy Coach Week.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, spiritual self-love coach, Tara, did you always know that you were meant to be this spiritual self-love coach when you were, a teen, maybe in your 20s? Like, was this something you've always known, or did you come into it later?
I think it was kind of something that I fell into later on. I always had that that connection. I've always had the intuition. I've always had the spiritual, divine guidance. I've always been very much, connected, but I never really put everything together. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until, I guess, after I've dealt with my struggles and realized that something's got to give. Like, I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. And when I really just kind of did a lot of work for myself, and learned that, I need to change. I need to do something. So I started really just diving deep and did work. The same thing that I'm implementing with the women I work with, I've done for myself. And it just kind of just catapulted me into where I'm now. So.
Talk about some of those earlier struggles when you said, something's got to give. I can't keep doing this. Let's go back into that point. Paint a picture. What were those things that you were doing that just weren't going to work for you moving forward?
Okay, well, I know a lot of my main struggles was in relationships, and I've always been the people pleaser, and I've always been my mom always said you were like a social worker, which is nothing wrong with that. It's a great profession, but for me, I was always giving of myself, and I was giving too much of myself, and it kind of became where I was giving, and never receiving, and I always tried to help. I always tried to fix. I always made them like the fixer-upper. And that's not my job. At that time, that wasn't my job. And I always got hurt. I always ended up overstayed my welcome, doing, just not really my worth. I didn't really value, I always tried to say, okay, well, if I do this, then it'll be fine. If this, and this, and that'll work. And I never really just loved myself enough. And that's where that whole root stemmed. So huge part.
Yeah. You just you didn't love yourself enough.
No.
So Huge discovery, definitely a huge wake up call. How did this play a role in your professional life? You've come into, well, since I've known you, stepping into this world of coaching and really claiming that for yourself. But what were you doing earlier on in your professional career?
Oh, I was a teacher. So
Mm.
yes, a teacher. I'm still a teacher now. I'm just for older.
Right, exactly.
Older.
What were
Yes.
you teaching? Like what subjects, what grades?
I was pre-K. I was from birth through like 4 year olds. So
Mm.
definitely, yeah. It was. I loved it. I did love it, but I felt that there was something more.
Ah,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I thought there was something
Interesting.
more. I actually got hurt. So when I got hurt, I'm still hurt. So it's like I had to really just take that time and figure out, what is it? Like, what do I need to be doing here? Why did this happen? And I was kind of in a rut for a while because it just was really, this is it. This is I've done all this work. I got my master's degree, and I was doing teaching for not this past profession that I was the location was about 7 years,
Hmm.
but I've been doing teaching for like 12 years, and
Hmm.
now I had nothing, and I was, who am I? What was my
Right.
identity? And it really got me to really just dig deep. And I was at like a low place because, here I am. I can't do anything. I was, kind of in a depression somewhat.
Hmm.
I really couldn't do much of anything. And I just really was like, you know what? There's something more here. There's something more here. And I just followed. I followed that guidance, and I followed my intuition. And it just kind of got me on this path. And I'm so grateful. I'm so
Mm,
grateful.
mm, mm, mm. Yes, I am too. I am too. And so I just, and that point that you made, there's something more here. There's something more here. It was like this knowing. Although your world was kind of crumbling down, like what you thought was you, right? Your identity gets stripped away.
Yep.
And that is humbling. I've been in that situation
Sure.
a number of times, and it's not only is it humbling, but it's terrifying. It's like,
It is.
what am
It
I
is.
what do I do now? Like you don't even
Uh-huh.
know how to talk or how to move, right?
Yeah.
And you were
Yeah.
hurt, and so it was like really you couldn't, like, you weren't able to be comfortable in your body like you normally were, and so like everything was getting stripped away from you. You went through a
Exactly.
period of like this depression because this change was happening. You had kids, right? So how many
Yeah.
kids do you have?
One. I have one. I
Okay,
have
so
one.
you've got your son, and so you're trying to like kind of find your way forward. And so, how did you find coaching? How did you know that was a thing, and how did you know that that was something that you were called to do?
Um, Let me see. Well, I guess when I really started to just
Hmm.
look into what it is that I could be doing, and I
Hmm.
really started doing a lot of research, and I came across one of your, I guess one of your webinars,
Hmm.
and I just felt that connection, and
Hmm.
I loved that. I think I had mentioned this to you before when you started doing meditation, because
Hmm.
I'm a spiritual person, and that just hit home for me. Like from then on, I was like, this is it. This is where I have to be, and I'm glad. I'm This is like really opened up all new doors for me,
Hmm.
and I made great connections, and I've learned so much, and I even went to the retreat that you were offering,
Hmm.
which was a struggle in itself, but I did it, and I'm so grateful that I did.
You sure
And I
did.
noticed, yeah, I noticed that I pushed myself, past a lot of boundaries and comfort zones that I've kept myself in for such a long time, and no more. I don't want to do that anymore, and I've made that a goal for myself. Even if it's scary, I'm just still going to go through it, and I trust. I trust in God and Source and Universe, whichever someone kind of connects with, but
Hmm.
I definitely, I do my angel readings, and,
Hmm.
I definitely incorporate a lot of that into my work, and they've
Good.
guided me, they've definitely guided me on all this. So
Mm.
I'm very blessed. I'm humbled and I'm blessed. So
Mm.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, you were definitely designed to do this. Like when I had the opportunity to meet you a few months ago and you did come to that retreat, and then I will never forget going on that hike. I will literally, it's like we went up this mountain, y'all. So I have this mountain that I'm in love with. It's like my mountain. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
mountain is my friend. It's
Awesome.
called
Yep.
Mountain Mountain. And I just had this download. I was like, because it was a multi-day retreat, but we did something, special for our coaching students for 2 of the days. And I wanted to have this experience with you all and allow you to, like just what you said, Tara, push past that comfort zone to
Hmm.
realize that, we do hold ourselves back. We have these perceived, fears of like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can go
Hmm.
to the top of the mountain. I don't know if I can make that change. I don't know if I can use my voice or step into a new career, like being a coach, all these things that trip us up. And often when we have some physical practice, like a hike, a mountain to climb,
Yeah.
anything like that, it's that a
The
huge,
metaphor.
yeah, it's a huge metaphor. And I
Hmm.
remember getting to that one point and you're just like, I don't know if I can keep going. And we set it up for everybody like, hey, stop wherever you need to stop. Like, you did great. Maybe the top of your mountain is here and it's not necessarily at the summit, but everybody made it to the top and we got
Hmm.
like great pictures and a lot of people were like live streaming from the top for the first time ever. It was like, it
It
was
was
just this
awesome.
epic experience. And you scaled a lot of mountains throughout the training, throughout Get Gutsy Coach Training School, throughout you just like putting yourself out there. So tell us more about kind of your business and how you've shaped things. You mentioned angel readings. How do you use that with the tools that you've received within our training, within becoming a coach and Get Gutsy Coach Training School?
Sure. Well, I do. For me, when I'm working with someone and
Hmm.
I'm intuitively guided, and I
Hmm.
get my downloads, I get my messages,
Hmm.
and also when I use the angel readings into the coaching practice,
Hmm.
what it gives me a little bit more of a tapping into,
Yeah.
and it gives me a little bit more of a quicker connection to
Ooh.
where
Hmm.
they need to get to. So,
Hmm.
whatever I'm getting, whatever I'm picking up, I am really a good listener. So I'm really listening to not just what they're saying verbally, but what they're not saying too. And I'm listening to, like, if it's a Skype call or something like that, I'm watching their body movements and everything, and all of that I kind of just add to what comes up for me,
Hmm.
and I'm able to like really tap in, and whatever I trust whatever messages I get, so I just go with
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
So when I do my readings, it can really get to the root of a lot of things a lot quicker, a lot faster, more effectively. And I don't ever really give any negative type of readings because I definitely had an issue because I do, I'm open to obviously getting readings and stuff. And I had a reading done right before my dad passed, and it really just really messed me up, I guess. And I never wanted to relay any kind of negativity or anything like that. So for people who are scared,
Hmm.
oh, that's I don't want any, I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't do that type of readings. I'm
Hmm.
giving you the message that the angels want you to know. So it's more of a positive. It's your
Hmm.
purpose,
Hmm.
things like that. So I really get
Hmm.
to tap in and give you the guidance that they need to give you.
That's beautiful. I love that you work with angels. I recently bought a book. It was, like Hay House published it, Louise Hay, and
Yes.
she's got that great publishing empire. I think it's called Thank You Angels, and it's
Oh,
Doreen
nice.
Virtue. Yeah,
I love
it's for
her.
children. It's a children's book
Oh,
because, as a mother, you watch your kids go through different things. And so, my oldest
sure.
son in particular is like highly sensitive and
Sensitive. Yep.
experienced something that was like very hard for him. And so I want him to know, yes, angels are around. Like, not everybody is into angels or believes in them, but I definitely do. And so
Right.
the book is really well done. And so for you listeners out there too, Thank You Angels is the name of it. Doreen Virtue. It's
I love
beautifully
it.
illustrated, and so I've been reading that to my kids. And my daughter actually the other night, I say, go pick out the book that you want to read. She's 2.5, and she like went and picked that one off of her little bookshelf. Yeah,
Oh.
thank you. Take this one because it's so sweet. And my daughter is definitely like my sister had a huge role in getting her here. Like my sister,
Uh-huh.
she's my angel, right? And my sister
Hmm.
passed away when I was a
Hmm.
teenager. So I just
Sure.
love that you do that, and that's a great, just a great example for our listeners who who may be considering the path of coaching or maybe considering coming into Get Gutsy Coach Training School. Like, hey, we make no qualms about it that this is a program and this is a path for those of us who are deeply connected to our spirituality and celebrate that. And it's funny, Tara, as this program has grown and as our student body has grown, I've become stronger in that messaging that we really are training and teaching spiritual coaches. I didn't
Yes.
say that the first go around. I alluded to spirituality in my messaging because that's who I am. But as we have trained so many students now and we get your testimonials back and we see what drew you to this program to begin with or drew you to me as your teacher, it's like the spirituality, the meditation. I love when you did. And so it's that recognition that, yeah, there is a place for this. You
Hmm.
obviously have a market. People are coming to you and saying, Tara, I want angel readings. Like, this stuff is desired, it's needed, it's
Mm-hmm.
wanted. And so I want our listeners to really take that in, because I think for, I don't know about you, Tara, but for much of my life, I didn't quite know what to do with this spiritual piece of me. It
Exactly.
was like,
Yes.
what do I do with this? Like, I'm not quite
Mm-hmm.
sure I could bust this out at a meeting with like my Pfizer clients or with like my M&M's candy clients. They're very corporate, very conservative, traditional.
Hmm.
And as
Sure.
I've started out, just on my entrepreneurial path and became a coach, I realized I don't have to hide that. And in
No,
fact, by me thinking like hiding it is keeping me safe, it's actually dangerous
it's
because,
hurting us.
right,
Uh-huh.
it's hurting us. So
Mhm.
just talk about like your process for embracing your own spirituality and the courage that perhaps you needed to pull from to claim it within your messaging as a coach, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what it was for even before this. Like, if you would have asked me about a year ago if I would be here, I would just laugh.
Right.
Not only just because I was in like in that kind of a state, just like really depressed and whatever, but just because I hid a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely have a gift, and I need to really bring it out and share it with the world. So the more I was hiding, the more I found things were challenging and more difficult for me. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge part of what when I'm working with these women. And I know that they do have a calling, they do have a higher purpose, they do have something, and they're not honoring that. So
Mm-hmm.
they end up getting into all these different things, a lot of crap. It's not just relationships, it could be just life in general, it could be your career, and you keep going against, like, it's a resistance almost. So
Mm-hmm.
when you really just kind of come into your own and you trust and you're not afraid and you just really just go, I mean, it doesn't have to be readings, it could be anything. It could be Akashic records, it could be
Mm-hmm.
um, an energy healer. There's so many different modalities, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what, just honor that, respect that, and really just shine. And that's what right now, it's so much of awakening, and the world needs us, these light workers.
Mm-hmm.
We need this. So
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people now that are opening and awakening, and they have nowhere to turn. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to express or how to find, I coach get gutsy coach training, so they don't know that. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It really just helps and brings everything together. And yes, that's where I'm at right now. And I feel like I can take whatever it is that I've had and I've kept hidden and
Yes.
apply it. I'm
Yes.
not hiding anymore. So,
There's no reason to hide, and I think
mhm.
what's comforting is when you find that community. It's like, oh, you're like
Oh yeah.
me.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, you're like
Oh yeah.
me. I mean, and did you participate in like the peer coaching opportunity where
Yes.
throughout the program where you were being coached or coached? And so, how was that for you? Just playing with it and feeling like you're in this safe space to give and receive.
That was amazing. I mean, that was invaluable. I feel like that was something that, one of the biggest, like, pluses of
Mm-hmm.
doing this. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely got that connection with, my coach, my peer coach, and then who I was coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I just the feedback
Mm-hmm.
from both.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I mean, some of us are still continuing with the
Yes.
coaching and
Good.
just,
Good.
yeah,
On your
yeah,
own, that
yes,
happens. And I know
yes.
like the relationships that get developed through an experience like this. Yes, I mean some of them will withstand the test of time. Others, they serve a purpose and like they get you through this transition point. But it's
Hmm.
just so beautiful to watch what happens when we kind of pull together an experience for light workers, for
Yep.
those leaders who identify as being spiritual, as being on a mission, of having a calling, of saying, you know what, I've had some really hard stuff happen to me. I've made some pivots. I've gone through some dark times, and you've learned, right? And then you want to
Yes.
help others who might be on that other side of the transition point, who may be
Yes.
saying,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, I'm seeing the light, I'm having this awakening, and like, what do I do with this? Because that's exciting, and it's also terrifying too, because you're like, oh my gosh, because you can't always talk about it with your old school friends or your family. You're like, oh my gosh, you don't know what I'm talking about. Like,
Yep.
you don't know what
Exactly.
I'm saying, and this feels very, very weird. That's awesome. So tell us more about what you're doing. Like, you've really kind of moved into, or maybe you've been doing this for some time, but the body image movement. What does that look like, and what is the work that you're doing there, Tara?
Yes. I'm excited for that. There's actually the body image movement. It's with with Taryn Brumfitt.
Mm-hmm.
She really, she had her struggles, and she ended up having 3 children, and her daughter, the youngest, she didn't really want her blocks and everything that she was struggling with and pass it on to her daughter.
Right.
So she wanted to really just make a difference. And she started going around and asking women on the street and all these different, just going out and getting feedback. And women had such negative things to say about themselves.
Right.
So it's, it's just sad. So she really realized there was a bigger problem here. And she started going around, and in 2 years, she ended up putting this documentary together, and it's called Embrace Documentary. So I really felt that connection, because that's my message, and I was drawn to her. So I applied to become an ambassador, so that I can go around and I could speak and really just relay her message and incorporate my message.
Yes.
And then I found that there was the Embrace movie where I could actually host.
Nice.
Yes, so I volunteered for that. And I'm actually in my town, in Ronkonkoma, Long Island, New York. There is going to be an event for December 8th. And I would like I have to get 65 women to purchase tickets by Thanksgiving.
Go, girl.
So, yes, I'm about halfway there.
Good.
So,
Good.
yes.
And so where can our listeners, if they are in or around Ronkonkoma, New York, or want to have a little road trip over there, where can they go get tickets? Where can they get tickets to this amazing film?
Yes, the easiest way, if they go to my website, spiritualselflovecoach.com, there is a lot of information there. There's actually a whole page, and you can click the link, and it takes you right to the ticket purchasing.
Perfect. Love that. What a cool, what's interesting to me, just kind of seeing how this is taking shape for you, like how your business, how this next step is taking shape for you. Again, remembering you came from like pre-K teacher to like, oh my gosh, I got hurt, I can't really work, and what am I doing with my life? And now you're like the spiritualselflovecoach.com. You're doing angel readings, you're coaching people, you're moving into this body image movement, global ambassador, you're hosting films in your area. Like, the thing that's so awesome about the path of the coach is like literally you can design this any way you want, right? Okay. Like, you can have private coaching clients. You can host movie premieres. You can have retreats. You can have courses, masterminds, programs. You can partner up with friends and like host local workshops or do online webinars and create freebies and resources and lots of content. You can write books. You can have a podcast. Like, to that, as our listeners are taking in, like, what do I do with my gifts and talents? I have this thing. I've been the one that people have been coming to. I've been giving advice, being that sounding board, being that brainstorm partner. When you realize, like, there is this path, and it's called coaching, and it is so diverse, it is so flexible, it is so creative. When I was in that state, Tara, when I was like, what am I doing with myself? Like, I'm a successful New York City executive in corporate America. I'm making a great amount of money, like more money than I ever thought I would make. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's like, oh wow, like there's no cap, there's no ceiling. Yep. So that's like a whole nother conversation. But at the time, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm making all this money. I kind of have it made. I've been at my job for a while. I can essentially call the shots, but it was very stressful, and it wasn't really for me. Like, I felt like I had learned everything that I was to learn, and I had been it was my second career. My first one I thought was like my dream career, and then after about 4 years, I said, I'm done here. Like, I gotta go. And I just, it was like, what am I have this stuff inside of me. It's like this magic, this like this intelligence and this wisdom and this ambition and just everything. And like, what can I do with that? Like, exactly. What is this? What is this thing? Because I'm not here to be like a doctor. I'm not going to be the lawyer, And I wasn't meant to be that teacher in a school. But I don't know if you know this about me, Tara, but that was my original major in school. I was going to be an English teacher. I was majoring in English and minoring in secondary education. I thought I'd be a high school English teacher. I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know what all the options were. And I just was drawn to teaching. Like, I really wanted to help people. I wanted to have students. And what's cool now is I do. They're just, like you said, like, they're just older. They're not high school students. Absolutely. And so I want our listeners to take that in. If they've been at that place in their life where they just keep hitting up against a wall, where they've been doing something something for a while and it's just not working anymore. They're depressed, they feel
Absolutely.
lost. Coaching is a fantastic path. And so, Tara, if you were talking to someone who was considering walking this road of a coach and, being a part of the training you were a part of, which was Get Gutsy Coach Training School, what would you say to somebody who's considering, making this decision?
I would say go for it. Don't, if there's something that you've been wanting, something that's been stirring, something that feel like there's something more, and you're kind of at your wit's end, maybe you're bored, maybe you feel like, you're getting up and doing the same thing over and over again, and this calls to you, absolutely, absolutely give it a shot, because you don't know, like you said, like I thought, even when I started doing, as far as becoming a coach, I had some idea of what I wanted to do. And it's kind of taking a whole other, it's got a whole mind of its own. And I'm just trusting. So you really you don't know what it can open up for you, what doors, will be expanding, and you just kind of walk through it. And that's it. And I definitely go for it.
I love that, right? What doors? It's like each action leads to the next. And so you have to have that courage to take that first step, walk through the door, even though you don't quite know what's on the other side, trusting that and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to open the door. It's like those game shows, like door number 1, okay, I'm going to go through door number 3. And, but it's just, people like you, Tara, have walked through this door. And, I just want to acknowledge you and commend you for making that decision, for making that investment in yourself, for, trusting that you had what it took to do this and you would make something of it. Like you would take the experience, you would take the training, you would take the peer coaching, you would take the resources, you would take, the live experience that we offered you and just do it, just harness it. You would harness the energy and you would, leverage like all your gifts, all your talents and go help people. Because that's what the spirit of this is about. It's helping people. Yes, absolutely. Now you have you mentioned you had some kind of free resource, some kind of course on your site. Do you want to tell our listeners about that now if they want to get their hands on that?
Sure. Yes. Actually, it's on my website again. There's actually a love letter newsletter that they can also sign up for. But with that, I offer a freebie. It's a 5-day course. It's really just, I do a lot of journaling and a lot of writing. So it's actually a 5-day exercise of different day activities that they could do. It's adding to their journal. And they can get that on my website. Again, it's spiritualselflovecoach.com.
Nice. Well done on creating that. I love that.
Thanks.
And I have to tell you too. I know. And I love it. And I love like featuring my students, like my graduates, like, okay, what do you have? Like, what did you create? And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so proud of you. And I know that you are serving your tribe who you are meant to serve, who is meant to be helped by Tara. I don't know if I mentioned these, Tara, but my mother, she grew up in New York, in Queens, in Jamaica, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I think they had like it was, I don't know if they call it a house. It was like a cabin or something on Lake Ronkonkoma.
Oh, okay. That's right by my house.
So, right on. So there's that connection there, which is
funny.
very cool, very interesting. So, on the podcast, we have our finale question that I just love asking and hearing the response to. And so it's time for me to ask you this question, Tara. What's the gutsiest move you've ever made and how does it inspire your life and work today?
Okay, well, let's see. I think for me, my gutsiest move was actually getting the courage to not hide anymore and really just come into my own and just trust. And that was, for me, it's just kind of led me to where I'm at now. I'm so grateful for all the opportunities. Everything just kind of falling into place. So I don't think if I didn't trust and just look past all of that fear and just have the courage to say, you know what, I can invest in myself. I'm worth it. I can do this. I know I have a gift. I know that I'm a messenger. And for me, that really was like monumental. So I'm so grateful.
Love that. Courage to not hide anymore. I'm worth it. I can invest in myself. And what you said, I am a messenger. That is very powerful, very powerful. I want our listeners to take that in. you are a messenger. We are all messengers. We
You
have
are.
something to deliver. The stuff that we went through for you, Tara, going through your first career, getting hurt, not being able to do that work anymore, having kind of that identity stripped away from you, like sitting in that hole that was just, what do I do now? That was what you were meant to experience. So you could deliver this message. You could become the spiritual self-love coach. So you can do all the work that you still have in front of you to do. I mean, how exciting is it to know that, yeah, for the rest of your years here, like, you're freaking pumped about the work. It's stuff that you want to do. You're going to have these connections. You're going to, go and host different films and create your own in-person experiences like you're already doing. And you love it. Like, what kind of feeling, like, could just capture like what that feels like to have that knowledge now?
Well, it's actually, it's funny because I'm actually doing the retreats too. I'm doing a retreat course on top of everything else, and
Yay!
and I have more information. I'll be kind of getting a little bit more. It's going to be in Italy though. I know next year.
Go
So
girl!
I'm so excited. So I definitely have a little bit of a, just to kind of get your palate wet on my website, but I definitely wanted to get more information, and I'll add that to it. And I'm doing vision board workshops. So
Good.
there's so much, and I'm just beside myself. I just, for really, like, I don't, like I said, asking me this a while ago, last year, even beginning of this year, I would not think that I would be here. So it's just empowering. It's just amazing, life-changing, and I'm just so excited. I'm open to whatever's to come for me. I'm just going with it.
Yes, and I think that's the magic of it, is that you are open and you trust that it's all going to be good. It's all going to be worth it. When we get in alignment, we know, like, I'm on the right path now. Because I think what's hard, because again, I was there for many, many years, I'm feeling like I was on the wrong path. Like, this is not right. There were pieces of it that were right. As I met my now husband, I started having kids when I started walking in the path of a coach. But prior to that, like, certain elements were right, but I just knew, it was like, this is not getting me to where I'm supposed to be. I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I got to get out of here. I'm in the wrong room. And when you realize, I'm actually in the right room now. When I remember when I went through my coach training experience way back in 2008, I mean, the night before, I could not sleep. I was so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I feel like this is right, but what if it's not? Like, what if I get there and I don't like the people? What if it's not right? And I have to start all over again. And I was terrified. I could not sleep. I was kind of like crying to my husband, like, because I'd already quit my 6-figure job. And I was like, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And as soon as I walked in and we started learning, it was like the curriculum, I just was like, oh yeah. Like, this is, when you had certain classes in college where it was gibberish, like when I took financial accounting and business finance, I was dying. I'm like, but I had to learn them because I was minoring in business, and I'm glad I have that foundation, but it's so not my zone of genius. And when you started, training to become a coach, it was just this relief. Yes, I'm in the right room.
like I've come home. I've arrived.
Yes, that's a really great way to say it. I've come home. I've arrived. Like, these are my people. This is the divine assignment. This is it. And I think for those of us who are spiritually connected and realize, like, yeah, we're on the spiritual path, and like, let's celebrate that and let's acknowledge it. And as we meet fellow travelers on the journey with us, it is so gratifying because we feel very deeply. Like, we're very empathic, we're highly sensitive, we're intuitive, and so if we're on the wrong path, it really affects us. And I think that's why you got hurt. Right? Because you were on the wrong freaking path. It was like, you got to stop.
Knocking me upside my head. It was like, enough.
Yeah. Like, you got hurt. Like, I got into some things that weren't healthy for me, like alcohol and drugs and, just being involved in situations that just was not for me. Like, the universe tries to get our attention subtly at first, and then it's just like, all right.
Exactly.
You're not listening.
Exactly. So we have to take big measures here.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, Tara. Well, I just, again, want to acknowledge you and just shine a light on all the work that you've done, how you've stepped out of your comfort zone. You're scaling mountains every single day. I know your film is going to be so well attended. You're going to fill those seats. So everybody go check out everything that Tara's doing, spiritualselflovecoach.com. Which social media channels are you active on? I know you're Facebook girl like me.
Yes, Instagram and Pinterest. I'm trying to build a little bit of a following there. I have 2.
Okay. All right. That's good. So you've chosen Facebook, Instagram and Pinterest for yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. That's smart. I tend to counsel my people like 2 to 3. For me, I do Facebook is like number one. LinkedIn, I have a good amount of connections there because of my corporate background, so that makes sense for me. It's not very much fun to play on Instagram, but I
Okay.
mean on LinkedIn, but it is a great channel, and it's kind of like a blog post publishing platform as well. So we do a lot of work there, and then Instagram
Okay.
I enjoy as well. I think if you're graphically inclined and you appreciate photography and gorgeous imagery, then
Yeah,
Instagram.
I'm doing a lot of my inspirational
Good.
memes and my quotes, and I'm
Good.
putting
Yes, you're so
that.
good at that. You're so good at that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad that you do that. I'm glad that you do that. Well, Tara, thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all of our amazing listeners for being here. My son is like looking at me in the sliding glass window and he's like giving me the frowny face, like, Mom. And so that is the signal. Everybody, you're amazing. Keep coming back. We have more awesome episodes for you for Gutsy Coach Week. We're so excited to be on this journey with you. Tara, thank you again for being here. This
Thank
is
you.
Jenny Fennig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fennig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
This episode of Get Gutsy was brought to you by Get Gutsy Coach Training School. This is the program teaching the future generation of coaches how to make a difference and a great living. So, if you haven't figured it out by now, I have built my business around this calling of a coach. That is what my podcast is based on. My book is based on that. The courses and programs that I've developed over the years have really allowed this calling of me being a coach to get unleashed in the world in such a massive way. And I am able to be a confident coach because I went through coach training. I learned what it took to be strong and supportive for my clients, and also how to be a phenomenal entrepreneur, a smart marketer, and a savvy business owner. And I realized that there was a total gap in the market for those of you out there who want to train under a successful coach, a successful entrepreneur, someone who walks her talk, is able to provide that gorgeous sacred container for you to claim your expertise and gifts, for you to package up the gorgeous value that you add to the world, and for you to be able to create a lifestyle that is beyond your wildest dreams, for you to be able to help as many people as you care to during this lifetime. And truly, being a coach is just, it's completely epic. So we are in the throes of our enrollment period for Coach Training School. I invite you to check it out. It is going to be absolutely extraordinary. We'd love to serve you in Coach Training School. Come on over and check it out. It teaches you exactly what you need to know now to truly make it as a coach, and you will not find anything in the market quite like this or at such a huge value. Come check us out, coachtrainingschool.com. That's coachtrainingschool.com. Gutsy coaches unite.